Cambridge International School, Dasua, a vassal education school. Students, I'm Radha, working as PGT Business Studies at Cambridge International School, Dasua. Students, as you know, in our previous lesson, we have studied about the economic environment in India and demonetization. Business environment. It can be defined as sum total of all the external factors or forces that influence the functioning of business enterprises. Students, these external forces can be specific forces and general forces. Specific forces like customers, suppliers, investors, competitors, etc. And general forces, economic forces, social forces, legal, social, political, and technological. Students, when we talk about economic environment in India, we talk about macro level factors which can impact the business and industry. And these factors can be stages of economic development in country, role of private and public sector, then economic, monetary, fiscal policies of a government, economic planning, annual budgets and 5-year plans, economic indices, national income, general GNP, that is gross national product, disposable personal income, infrastructural factors like banks, mode of transportation, communication facilities, all comes under economic environment. Students, do you know that what was the economic environment at the time of independence? Indian economy was mainly rural and agriculture. Actually, about 70% working population employed in agriculture only. They were earning from agriculture only. And there was low productivity technology, no modern technology was available. Communicable diseases widely spread, lack of health and medical facilities, etc. And then government took many steps to solve economic policies, like to reduce unemployment and poverty, to reduce inequality of income, to become self-reliant, and they tried to set up strong industrial base, adopted socialistic pattern, equality, prevention of exploitation of man by man. And then that time government has decided to give a lead role to the public sector for infrastructure industries, and they gave less freedom to private sectors. In result, what happened? That economy faced serious foreign exchange crisis, high government deficit, and rising trend of prices, that is inflation, more inflation, despite bumper crops. And some factors were there which forced the government to announce economic reforms. Reforms means they forced the government to introduce new economic policy. And what were the factors or reasons? That fiscal deficit was 6.6%. There was increase in inflation rate. There was fall in gross national product, that is 10.5% to 1.4% it has done. It has gone. Then there was reduction in exports and imports, and internal debt increased by 50% of GDP. And then government announced the major or the new industrial policy 1991. So government announced new industrial policy in 1991, and some features I would like to share here. Only 6 industries were kept under licensing scheme, and the role of public sector was limited only to 4 industries, where they were having more industries under public sector. Now it was reduced to 4 only. Disinvestment was carried out in many public sector enterprises, means they have taken back the ownership from the public sector and given lead role or more freedom to private sector. Foreign capital or foreign investment policy was liberalized. That means they have liberalized means that more freedom when there are less restrictions. And in many sectors 100% direct foreign investment was allowed, so that we can get more foreign investment and we can grow more. Automatic permission was given for signing technology agreements with foreign companies, so that we can use latest updated technology in our company or in our business firms. And then foreign investment promotion board was set up to promote and to bring foreign investment in India. And then major program of industrial policy 1991 was LPG, liberalization, privatization and globalization. Now we will discuss in detail. Features of industrial policy 1991. Liberalization. It means liberating economy, give more freedom to economy from unnecessary controls and regulations and making the economy more competitive. That means by giving permission to other countries and other business firms to enter into our Indian market and remove unnecessary control and regulations, then we are able to grow, we are able to get more demand, more sales. The 1991 policy introduced the following measures of liberalization. Abolition of industrial licensing except in few, liberalization in import and export, freedom in fixing prices. Now it has become easy and simplifying the procedure to attract foreign capital in India, and the removal of restrictions on the movement of goods and services like free movement of capital, free movement of goods, free movement of services, free movement of labor, greater competitiveness, etc. Then more freedom was given in deciding the scale of business activities, reduction in tax rates and removing all unnecessary control over the economy. Now our next major program of Industrial Policy 1991 was privatization. It means giving greater role, more power, more freedom to private sector and reducing the role of public sector. Because of inefficiency in public sector, government decided to give greater role or more freedom to private sector now. Privatization is the opposite of nationalization. To achieve this, government adopted the policy of planned disinvestment, means transfer of business ownership and control from public sector or public enterprises to private enterprises by selling government's shares in it. Privatization. To achieve privatization, government took the following steps. Disinvestment of public sector. It means sell a part of government shares in a PSU to private sector, means public sector enterprises or undertaking to private sectors. Say government reduced its shareholding from 100% to 60% in that public sector undertakings by selling 40% shares of the company. And second, de-reservation of areas formerly reserved for the public sector. The next major program was globalization. LPG, liberalization, privatization and then globalization. Globalization means to integrate the economy of different countries or integration of various economies of the world. In globalization, entire world is considered as a single market. That means everyone is able to trade with each other. Globalization leads to free movement of people, goods and services across boundaries. Globalization paves the way to many multinational companies to enter into Indian market. Till 1991, government followed a strict policy regulating imports in value and volume terms. Through globalization, government adopted the following steps. Import liberalization, that means more liberty in imports. Export promotion, they try to encourage more exports. Rationalization of tariff structure, new tariff means the tax structure was improved now. FERA was replaced by FEMA. FERA means Foreign Exchange Regulation Act and FEMA means Foreign Exchange Management Act. FERA, it was passed in 1973. The main purpose of this was to ensure the use of foreign exchange, but it was creating obstacles in the development of country. So government replaced it by FEMA. And FEMA, it was the act which we have passed to facilitate, to provide more freedom to external trade and payments and for promoting the orderly development and maintenance of foreign exchange market in India. And it was dealing with provisions related to procedure, formalities, dealing, etc. of foreign exchange transactions in India. Then demonetization, Notbandi, you know it very well. Government of India made an announcement on November 8, 2016 that the two largest denomination notes rupees 500 and rupees 1000 were demonetized, बंद कर दिए गए. This led to 86% of Indian currency in circulation invalid. Now means no more circulation of this currency 500 rupees note and 1000 rupees note. The people had to deposit this 500 rupees note and notes and 1000 rupees notes, that invalid currency, in the banks along with certain restrictions on withdrawal. What was the aim of demonetization? To curb corruption. Corruption को रोकना, fake notes को रोकना, use of currency for illegal activities like terrorism. Means जाली नोट ज़्यादा आ गए थे तो उसकी वजह से ज़्यादा illegal activities बढ़ी, terrorism बढ़ा, accumulation of black money generated by income. लोगों ने black money अपने पास इकट्ठी रखनी शुरू कर दी. That has not been declared to the tax authorities. मतलब ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा black money रखी जिसके ऊपर टैक्स कोई दिया नहीं था. What are the causes of demonetization? There can be many causes of demonetization in any economy such as black marketing, corruption, fake currency in the economy, accumulation of black money, tax evasion, tax administration measure. Aims and features of demonetization. First one, a tax administration tool. The people who have black money had to declare their unaccounted wealth and pay taxes at a penalty rate. Second, to stop tax evasion. It means the people, those who were not ready to give tax, they have more black money with them and it was not declared white money. So this was the reason the government implemented this policy to control tax evasion. To channelize the savings, it was implemented to channelize the mobilization or movement of saving into formal financial system by encouraging bank deposit. That means all have to deposit their money in banks, and through banks all needy people, that needy firms, they can get that money in a formal way and then they can channelize. That means from saver to the business firms it will reach and economy will grow. The next feature is cashless economy. Government announced demonetization with an aim of creating a digital economy. That means we can work, we can trade without cash with the support of formal financial system or banks like internet banking, e-wallet, point of sale, etc. Impact of demonetization in different areas. First, like money or interest rate. There was decline in cash transactions. Bank deposits increase in financial savings. Then private wealth declined since some high demonetized notes were not returned and real estate prices fell. Property के रेट गिर गए. Public sector wealth, there was no effect. Digitization, digital transactions among new users increased. We have started to trade or to buy things online or that with the help of e-wallet or with the help of cards. Real estate prices declined. Tax collection rising. Income tax collection because of increased disclosure. Students, for your better understanding, I have given detailed explanation about economic environment in India and demonetization. And now we will start our today's topic. Today's topic is an impact of government policy on business and industry. Till now we have studied about the business environment, its features, importance, then dimensions, and then we have studied about economic environment and demonetization, which has added recently. Now we will study about the impact of government policy on business and industry. And our learning objective is, after studying impact of government policy on business and industry, you all will be able to explain it confidently. Students, before explaining or understanding or discussing the points of impact of government policy on business and industry, first I would like to discuss about the COVID-19 on business environment, or impact of COVID-19 on business environment which we are facing today. Students, economic environment, you know the components include like interest rate, inflation rate, change in disposable income, stock market indices, value of rupee, existing structure of the economy in terms of relative role of private and public sector, the rates of growth of GNP and PCI, GNP gross national product and PCI per capita income at current and constant prices, etc. Now what can be the impact of COVID-19 on economic environment? According to UN, the global economy could shrink by almost 1% in 2020 due to COVID-19 pandemic. In the financial markets, there will be value destruction and value creation in different companies in the same sector. While the high debt and low margin companies will find it difficult, the high debt and high margin companies could be rewarded. Labor cost and methods are being changed and modified. A work from home culture is being developed, and firms are realizing that they can work with less workforce also. Certain sectors of the economy are doomed for a long time, like entertainment, airlines, tourism, automobiles, etc. As due to the fear of catching the virus from other people, everyone is avoiding unnecessary travels. Relief funds to the tune of billions and trillions of US dollars are being arranged by the government from the existing funds available with them. Now, next environment is social environment. Its components include customs and traditions, values, social trends, society's expectations from business, attitudes towards product innovations, lifestyles, occupational distribution, and consumer preferences, concern with quality of life, life expectancy, expectations from the workforce, etc. These all factors, these all are the components, not factors. These all are the components which comes under social environment, or we can say which makes the social environment. Now, what can be the impact of COVID-19 on social environment? Work from home culture is being followed by schools, firms, companies, and offices across the globe. You know that from 1st April only we have started teaching through e-learning, and you are taking benefit of learning from home only, and we are providing you, or we are teaching you from home only. Social unrest is common due to the absence of enough jobs for this sustenance of everyone and unemployment. Cases of depression, suicides, and marital discord are on the rise due to lockdown. It may be. Then there is a lot of tension and animosity. There is a lot of tension and animosity. It means that feeling of anger between haves and have not, as the lockdown is leading to starvation of casual workers, poor and unemployed. As religious and racial minorities live in ghettos, the pandemic appears to spread more in such communities. This is leading to communal and racial divide. People are following social distancing, leading to many industries like sports, tourism, and hotels being badly affected. Now, next environment is technological environment. Its components include forces related to scientific improvements and innovations which provide new ways of producing goods and services, and new methods and techniques of operating a business, like recent technological advances in computers and electronics have modified the way in which companies advertise their product, or they have started to sell their goods online like Flipkart, Amazon, etc. Now, the impact of COVID-19 on technological environment. Digital platform companies and telecommunication companies are making a kill. Many platforms like Zoom, Microsoft Teams, etc. have appeared to facilitate work from home. Like we are taking Zoom classes, Zoom meetings, etc. You are taking benefit by sitting at home, and we are providing you enough information with the help of Zoom, and we are using YouTube for taking online classes. That means now electronic media is going to be helpful. Education platforms like Byju's, Khan Academy, etc. are becoming very popular for imparting education, since all schools and universities are shut. Digital economy and mobile wallets will increase as people will be scared to touch physical forms of money. Apps like Arogya Setu app have been designed to track contacts of people who have tested positive for COVID-19. Companies like Google and Apple are coming together to find solutions to tracking infected patients. Now, next is Political environment. It includes political conditions such as general stability and peace in the country, and specific attitude of political parties and elected government representatives hold towards the business prevailing political systems. Degree of politicization of business and economic issues, dominant ideologies and values of major political parties, etc. Now, the impact of COVID-19 on political environment. Political unrest is becoming common as no one is satisfied with their government, especially in countries like USA and India also. International relations between countries are at their lowest, with many countries like USA, Germany, and Australia blaming China directly for bringing about the pandemic from its labs or wet markets. Multilateral bodies like WHO are also being criticized by governments of various countries for their slow and inadequate response. The Indian Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi urged the residents of Delhi to follow a voluntary Janta curfew on 22nd March 2020. Apart from his appeal to every Indian to maintain social distancing and use mask when in public places, such appeals are very difficult to oppose politically. Governments are faced by Hobson's choice on whether to implement complete lockdown or extend lockdown or let economy function normally. One leads to unemployment while the other leads to spread of virus and deaths. Both ways public is unsatisfied with government while opposition parties are also finding it tough to oppose government's decision. Then legal environment. It includes various legislations passed by the government, administrative orders issued by government authorities, courts, judgments, as well as decisions rendered by various commissions and agencies at every level of the government, whether it is a district level, state level, or national level. Now, the impact of COVID-19 on legal environment. As many individuals as well as institutional lenders are facing loss of business, many face liquidations, which will lead to huge pile-up of cases in the courts between banks and individuals or institutions. Germany has sent a bill of $149 billion to China for bringing COVID-19 to Germany. Many other countries may follow suit. This will lead to cases in International Court of Justice. India and many other countries have come up with laws to stop China and its companies from investing directly into their countries. As per China, this is a violation of WTO and GATT. This will lead to legal complications. We are seeing surge of incidents involving attacks on policemen, doctors and sanitation workers during lockdown. Also, police are taking strict action against lockdown violators. Many of such cases might end up in courts. Now we can discuss about some positive points. Companies are looking at ways to cut costs which might lead to their advantage when things normalize. Countries like UK are looking at lockdown as opportunity to reboot the economy and make it more tech savvy. Business houses are looking for more technological advancements. Environment is recovering because of lockdown. All kinds of pollutions are at all-time lows. Many countries will have a relook at their strategy of having all the manufacturing from China. This may open business opportunities for India. So students, I hope you understood the impact of COVID-19 on our social, political, legal, technological and economic environment. Now we will discuss about the topic impact of changes in government policy on business and industry. Students, you know that government introduced major programs like LPG, liberalization, privatization and globalization under New Industrial Policy 1991. The policy of liberalization, privatization and globalization of the government has made a significant impact on the working of enterprises in business and industry. It means there was a great impact or effect or influence on the working of enterprises in business and industry. One by one we will study The impact of changes in government policy on business and industry. Now, first point is increasing competition. Liberal licensing, that means more freedom to licensing and entry of foreign firms made competition for Indian industries. Students, change in the government policy like rules of industrial licensing and entry of foreign firms has has increased the competition for Indian firms. Now Indian firms have to compete not only with the Indian competitors but as well as with the multinational companies all around the world. So now there will be more competition, especially in service industries like telecommunications, airlines, bankings, insurance, etc., which were earlier in the public sector. So, in this way, with the changes in the government policy, it has brought more more competitors or more competition from all over the world. Now, second impact of changes in government policy on business and industry is more demanding customers. Customers have got a wider choice and they are well informed, hence, they become more demanding and go for better quality. Why we are more demanding at present? First reason, more competition. Entry of foreign products in Indian market. Now variety of products are available in the market. We are well informed and increased competition, it has provided us the wider choice to purchase better quality of goods and services, so that we have become more demanding right now. Third reason or third impact of change in government policy on business and industry is rapidly changing technological environment. Advanced technology provides improved machinery and better quality. Technological changes in printing machines you can see in this image. Smaller firms find it difficult to cope up with these rapid changes in technology. Students, rapidly changing technological environment help the firms to improve their goods and services. They can use their latest equipment, technology and methods in order to face the competition and to survive in the market, to lead in the market. Now producers are using world-class technology. This leads to more investment in research and development, innovation and product development. Next point is necessity for change. Because of economic reforms in 1991, it means that a new industrial policy and introduction of LPG, liberalization, privatization and globalization, market forces become turbulent, unstable, which necessitated firms to change or modify their operations continuously. Means these that changes has forced the companies to bring changes in their operations, bring changes in their way of manufacturing the goods or running the business. Students, you know that business environment keeps on changing. It is dynamic. The firms have to continuously change their activities, change their plans, policies to survive in the market, to lead in the market. They have to modify their existing policies and operations from time to time to face the challenges, hurdles or threats proactively or to grab opportunities. Then next point is need for developing human resource. The new market conditions demand people with greater competence and commitment. Hence the need for developing human resources arises. Earlier, Indian enterprises have suffered a lot for long with inadequate trained personnel. To compete with foreign firms, Indian companies must have highly skilled, trained and competent human resource so that we can compete with our competitors in a right manner. The huge amount of money is now being spent by the firms on training and development of their employees time to time. You know, we have studied about the types of training is provided to employees, that is on the job and off the job, to enhance their skills and knowledge. So it is the necessity for change to develop human resource so that we can compete in a better manner. Next point is market orientation. Students, there are two types of orientation: product orientation and market orientation. Earlier production first and then go to market, it was the product orientation. This was the first strategy which was followed earlier. But in this fast changing business world, first we should study about the market, the demand of customers, and then produce the goods accordingly. This is called market orientation. Now there is a need to follow market orientation strategy. That means produce the goods according to the need, desire of customer. Earlier we were producing goods first and then we were searching or looking for how to sell the product. So today the market has become consumer oriented, means according to the need of consumer we are going to manufacture the product. Then we can expect greater sales, more profit. Thus the firms must study the market situation first and then produce goods according to the demand of customers. Then only they can expect good results, they can attract more sales, more profits. And the last impact of changes in government policy on business and industry is loss of budgetary support to the public sector. Fund allotment from government revenue has declined over the years, means which money support, which budgetary support was provided by government from their treasury to the public sector enterprises. Now it has taken back. Now they are not providing or they have reduced it. This made the public sector undertakings to become more efficient in the market like private sector. That means if they are not getting any support, monetary support from the government, then they need to be efficient. They need to try to find out the ways how they can be more efficient like private sector. And the reduction in the financial help by the central government to these public sector enterprises has made these enterprises to realize that now they have to generate their own resources, they have to generate funds, they need to work efficiently so that they can survive and they can grow in this competitive world. On the whole, if we see that what is the impact of government policy on government policy major that programs like liberalization, privatization and globalization, that we have seen the positive results in our country, in our economy, because now business firms, they are going to adapt new changes, they are working towards the new changes, and then they are becoming more independent or more skilled, we can say, or we can say that now that better able to compete with other firms. Now they have become more customer focused and adopted measures to improve customer relationship and satisfaction. Now means they are ready to face the competition, and now they are trying to find the new ways how they can attract more and more customers, how they can develop their human resource, that they are ready to bring changes in their policies and operations. Now they are able to work without the budgetary or financial help of this government budget or government treasury, money from the treasury. And if customers have become more demanding, now how to satisfy them by making new and improved products. Now we are ready to take help of new technological environment, new technology in that using new equipments, new methods to operate the business, new methods to manufacture the goods. So that means that we became better now with the help of these changes in the policy of government, and there was a positive result only. So students, today we conclude our lesson here. Today we have studied about the impact of government policy on business and industry, and now the time is for home assignment. Some questions are given in the worksheet, notes are also given for your help for better understanding. So in case of any query and confusion and doubt, you can contact me anytime. And don't forget to write answers in your fair notebook time to time. And students, what kind of questions examiner can ask you from this topic, they can ask you, I explain any 5 points of impact of government policy on business and industry, or they can ask you that explain the following points like need for developing human resource or market orientation. Means by giving specific point they can ask you to explain it. under the impact of government policy on business and industry. And later we will discuss about the case study based question from this topic also, from this chapter also. So stay home, stay safe, and keep studying.